Episode 8?
Uh-oh.
Hey, are we live now?
No. All right. Hello, everyone.
Woo!
This time we're actually live.
And we're really live.
Yes. Welcome to the first ever threatened Ganglia Vodcast for Star Trek Discovery, Episode 6.
Not 8.
Not 8. And how do we say it?
Lethe.
Lethe. Because, pronouncing things isn't my strong point. Anyway, hopefully we're going to do a semi-weekly one because someone's going away on vacation shortly, so she won't be able to join us next week necessarily. But we'll catch up and we'll be able to plow through the whole second half of the season later on. So we just wanted to hop on and talk about this last episode. And just for minor introductions, I'm Adam. Corpulent Geek. I used to host a podcast, co-host a podcast about pop culture from a geek perspective on Perpetual Geek Machine. I'm a programmer and a stereotypical nerd. My Star Trek background is I've seen all the episodes at least once. Deep Space Nine and Next Generation are my strongest background. Original series would be next, and Voyager and Enterprise not quite so much. Voyager is definitely vague in my head, and Enterprise got a little wackadoo at different points for me, so I just kicked out some of those memories. Deep Space Nine is my favorite one so far, and I have read some of the books, some of the TNG books, and a couple of the original series ones. Imzadi was my favorite of the books that came out before, and also the one with the Bozeman captain from Next Generation, the Ship of the Line book. That was my favorite. And Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina. I am Adam's wife. I am also Sci-Fi Christina on the Twitters. And I am also a software engineer by education and trade, but at the moment I am a stay-at-home mom to our 2 lovely children. And I have a pretty diverse and extensive Star Trek background. I think this and Star Wars are my biggest sci-fi anchors. And I've watched some or most of the original series, but it's kind of been a while. I'd like to get back into them. I think Discovery has definitely triggered a need to get back in there and watch them again. I've watched all of the movies, but mostly the ones with the original series cast in them. 2 and 3 are probably my favorite because they're the best. 4 is
because they're the best.
They're the best, I think, of the movies. The most well done.
Wait, 3? Search for
Spock.
Really?
Probably 2 then. But I feel like 2 and 3 came as a package.
Really?
Instead of, well, yeah, I felt like, the events of 2 led directly into 3.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I felt like they kind of were bookend for each other. Okay. 4, I think, came out at a time. It's kind of like how I used to watch Empire Strikes Back like all the time. I used to watch 4 all the time. So I know that one like backwards and forwards. And then 5 is a guilty pleasure. Like I quote that one the most because it has some of the most ridiculous quotable lines in it.
Aside from what does God need with a starship?
Yeah. There's some other things that it's
put her on the spot. Now she can't come up with one.
It's whatever. What it says about pain. Now I can't. Cybok, yeah. Like there were a lot that my brother and I think used to quote back and forth. It just must have been right at the same time that we were watching movies over and over again. But my formative years were watching The Next Generation, and I used to watch with my dad. We would sit down when it was on every week, and I had a TV in my room with a VCR, so I used to record them, and then I made my first catalog. It was the precursor to me loving Excel. Was with making this catalog of my VHS tapes. Data was my favorite character, but all of the characters held a special place in my heart. I still love Sir Patrick Stewart and anything he does.
All of the characters? Even Dr. Pulaski?
Even Dr. Pulaski. She had a place. 1 season's worth of a place. And and she brought something different. And I did kind of like, and I remember when I went back and watched, as I got a little older, I went back and watched, and I could see how she pulled different things from other characters that weren't getting pulled by Beverly Crusher, because she had a specific place, especially with her history with Picard. So I did kind of like Pulaski for that. But it was just the series that I really sunk my teeth in to the Star Trek universe. And it led into me watching Deep Space Nine. Definitely in the beginning. I know I've seen most of it. I can't say I've seen all of the episodes. I know, and I want to. And we're going to make that a point.
I can't believe that we bailed on making that through it before. Are you sure we didn't watch them all and you've just somehow forgotten?
Yes, I'm sure we didn't watch them all. I know.
That makes me sad.
But
we can fix that.
We can. Voyager, I've watched some. It came on because DS9 had dovetailed with The Next Generation, so I was still in my mid-teens when it came on, which is why I know I've watched most of it. Voyager dovetailed with DS9, and I know I watched the beginning of that, and I liked it. I liked that there was a female captain. I liked Kate Mulgrew in that part. But then I went away to college, and we didn't have UPN, so I couldn't watch it anymore. And that was kind of the end of me catching up on that. And I just never gotten back to watching all the episodes. I most likely will someday. Enterprise, I didn't watch much of anything until you and I met, and then we went back and kind of watched some of them. But again, just like you said, we kind of watched some of it. I love Scott Bakula though. Scott Bakula is cool. He's pretty cool.
Did he ever get to say his line from Quantum Leap though?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
That's Google worthy right there. So like my favorite.
We need an intern to look that up.
Send our producer off to do that.
I'm the producer.
I know. I was joking.
Oh, okay.
So again, my favorite, Next Generation. I read a lot of the books for the pocket books that came out for Next Generation, but I loved Imzadi and many of the things that Peter David wrote. I know a lot of those. I think after I read Imzadi, I sought out a lot of his novels. And they were good. I did remember. I loved Imzadi. I loved that. Loved Triangle.
Yeah,
I loved.
I can't remember many of the details of it, but I definitely remember reading it and loving it. And plus, it dealt with the City on the Edge of Forever.
Yeah,
the original.
Yeah,
series
I love when they tie in across series. I loved the episode of DS9 where they tied in with Trouble with Tribbles, and I did like that in the books when they revisit things from the original series.
You had a catalog of the numbered pocketbooks as well?
That I had, yes.
Oh, boy.
Well, how would I know, which ones I needed to buy when I was in the bookstore?
Where did this level of organization go in your life?
It went into Excel and into the digital world.
Gotcha.
I'm much more organized in the digital world than I am in IRL.
All right. So that section right there was the Clear All Moorings section of our vodcast. Don't worry, it's not going to be that long again.
I had a lot of moorings.
Yeah. But, we wanted to give you our perspective of where we're coming from and the different things that we like. So that way, if you tuned in and you absolutely loved Voyager and Deep Space Nine, and then you can judge based on our background how much you're going to like this. So our next section is All Ahead Full Impulse, where we're going to just do a brief run through of what happened in the episode to remind everyone. So this episode started off with Sarek, Man of Peace, shuttling off for a secret mission somewhere, along with one Vulcan ally with him. And Tilly was seen working out on Discovery with Burnham, and she had the Eye of the Tiger doing her little jogging thing around the ship. And then we had a nice montage with Lorca and Tyler in a holodeck, which supposedly wasn't really a holodeck. It was something else similar and close to it, because, of course, people griping, you can't have a holodeck before Enterprise. But anyway, I diverged, sorry. Then we cut back to Sarek, whoever would have imagined that the guy that went along with Sarek was a bad guy. He wasn't shifty looking at all, and he got blown up. And then we cut back to Tilly and Burnham, who got some cool stuff from the replicators. And then it was time for high school lunch with the new guy in the cafeteria. And I just named this part #Dreamy, because that's what that guy is, apparently. Then we jumped into Contravision, when Michael Burnham gets pulled into Sarek's memories. But these just aren't Sarek's memories, because somehow he was able to tell that she was there, and Matrix punched her right out of his memories. And then Burnham wakes up in a hospital bed with, her best friend and her boss looming over her, which is a position everyone wants to be in. And she asks Lorca for a little bit of help.
And Lorca says, of course I'll run out to rescue mission. Orders are for desk jockeys. And then they go and zip off into where the last signal from his shuttle was, and he's in this nebula, and they said, see all this fucking awesome technology? Yeah, we can't see through this fog. But Groovy Stamets is going to make a mind meld boost for Michael so they can go out and find Sarek. So Tilly, Ash, and Michael are going to head off into the nebula, but Lorca says, don't come back. Lorca says, she don't come back, you don't come back. You hear me? Which is, I think, the best dad to boyfriend before a first date ever.
It's true.
Admiral X, I think I like calling her that, arrives because she has had enough. And she's all like, to Lorca, eugenics? What? Pissed off a Vulcan admiral? Oh, my goodness. Mutineers and POWs on your staff? Fantastic. Let's get drunk and screw. So we're back with Burnham trying to contact Sarek with her mind meld boost Borg implant looking thing. And she tells Tilly, don't pull me out. Of course, they get in there, and Ash is like, pull her out. Something's happening. She's like, don't tell me about that. She told me not to pull her out. I'll rank both of you. And then Ash gives her a great pep talk, and Michael dives back into Sarek's brain, and she finds out he had to make a Sophie's choice, and then they resolve whatever was going on in Sarek's past. And I'll pass it back over to Adam.
Then we jump on to finding out that PTSD Lorca is one scary mofo because he sleeps with a phaser underneath his pillow. Truth be known, I probably would too, but I would have it set on stun and not kill like he did. And then he starts making excuses when Admiral X blows up at him, and it was reminiscent of John Belushi from the Blues Brothers, making excuses to Carrie Fisher. And so they were able to rescue Sarek, yay! But his mission is a failure, boo, because he can't complete it. But Cornwell can substitute for him, yay! Burnham's offered a job on board the Discovery, which he jumps at, of course, because that's better than, having to be no one on board the ship. Sarek was very, very sleepy, however, during this whole ordeal, so of course he doesn't remember a thing that went on in his memories with Burnham, even though they had touching moments and everything. And Michael has had enough of Sarek's shit and is finally getting out from underneath the feeling that she had of failing him. She has a moment where she bonds with Ash, and we see the budding blossoms of a romance starting off. And so we're cutting to the end there when Admiral Cornwell is going to go to have a meeting with the Klingons, and she's all like, hey, listen, I know things have been rough and all. When I get back, we're going to have you step down from this ship. Oh, you're going to do that? All right, let's see how this meeting goes with the Klingons. The meeting quickly turns into their version of the Red Wedding, I guess the Red Peace Talks, where everyone but Cornwell gets killed by like this Klingon with face jewelry that freaks me out worse than the the Bajoran earrings. And when Lorca gets word, he's like, oh, no, we don't mount unauthorized rescue missions. It's what she wanted. It's what she told me to do. I can't go and save her, the woman that was going to take away my ship. And it ends with more spooky mirror imagery.
I love his, this woman wants to take my ship away. Wait, we need someone to go on this dangerous peace talk? How about this woman who wants to take my ship away?
Yeah, that's true. He did. I forgot that he like suggested her.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, in all honesty,
and it was incredibly sound logic. Like,
yeah.
Of course she was the best person to go for it. And I mean, as soon as she was like, Gabriel, I gotta tell everyone how unstable you are, and this is bad. It was like clearly she's just putting her red shirt on because this is what's gonna happen now.
and the thing is that after sorry, we've jumped ahead. We're out of the impulse speed section, and we've now gone to warp. Where No.
I shifted to warp
cool.
real fast.
Yeah, that kind of stuff happens. We have shifted to warp, and we've started talking about that. And so it really does make sense for him not to go on this rescue mission, because if it was anyone else that was captured, it really is what she would want done. Like, wait for chain of command to come down with their decision on what to do, and not just go running off and saving him. So
he definitely knew that this was going to
stall.
Devious. He is incredibly devious. He knew that this was going to stall his being reported, and it was the best. Whether she went off and peace talks became a thing, because then maybe her focus would shift and she wouldn't come back down on him. At least she was out from underneath him or from on top of him. However they did it,
nice.
and he knew that this was going to get her off his back for at least enough time to figure out how to permanently change that. But it's this whole show has definitely put a question mark on everyone. I feel like we only know Michael Burnham enough to say that she probably isn't a Klingoner from a mirror universe.
Oh, well.
I think that's about it. Or from Section 31, like she's the only one who you feel her intentions.
You forget my favorite character, honey. Saru.
Oh, and Saru.
He is without blemish. I hope this ends. I haven't heard of an Admiral Saru in the future, but I hope all this ends with him coming out on top. Anyway, so were there any questions in the chat that came up yet? But as we find what our next topic is going to be.
Nope. Someone had asked
this.
about what disco was, and I just said that was short for Discovery, and also some awesome music from the 70s.
I still think that they need shirts on board the USS Hood for all the crewmen to wear, crewmen and women.
That say Hood.
No,
because there's no shortening.
You have
it's
to
already
shorten
four
them.
letters. It's already four letters. You would not shorten it.
Yes, you would. Because
no, you
we
wouldn't.
Keep with the thing. All right, fine. Let's get off this before I go to my thing that you really hate. What is the and now I saw this episode in the lineup. I've liked the titles of these episodes so far. They've all been very robust and
they're meaningful. They're definitely meaningful.
And this one, I read it and I'm like, what, was that too profound there?
that was quite profound. This one refers to it. I even had to look up the pronunciation because whenever I've encountered that word in reading, I've always pronounced it Lethe, and it wasn't until we decided to come over here and talk on the internet that I was like, let me double check this.
Yes, before we say something
before
stupid.
Yes, and it
too
is
late.
Pronounced Lethe. It is the river in Greek mythology that was located a river in the underworld, who the waters of this river could cause people to forget their past when they were drunk. When
they got a swirly in the river, they forgot their problems.
They had to drink the waters. They couldn't. I don't think it was just like being dipped in it.
No.
Like the river Styx was the one that Achilles was dipped in, and he didn't need to imbibe. The Lethe you have to imbibe.
He was dipped in Styx?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the word is also used for like forgetfulness or oblivion, and it makes you think like what are they implying there? What was the forgetfulness? Is it?
Well, I took it to be just that Sarek wanted to forget his shame for what he did to Michael.
That is definitely one of them.
Was there other that you thought of?
I don't know.
Okay. I just didn't know if you had one. You were like, yeah,
I don't know. I also like as we see more of Stamets change in personality, I keep thinking that maybe we're not dealing with the traditional mirror universe that we had come to know and love on Star Trek.
That's supposed to be in Black Alert section.
True. So that's what I don't know if it's hinting at something bigger, if it beyond this episode. Yeah, that was all. Like as I was typing that up, I was thinking,
okay.
How are they really applying this feeling of forgetfulness or oblivion to these characters? And
all right, so this episode definitely had a metric ton of character development in my eyes. It was definitely a change up from the last one, where aside from the initial first sequence in the not holodeck, there wasn't a whole lot of action. So actors got to act for a change. And I will admit that now I see some of the reason for Sarek to be the one that was her adoptive father, because that's definitely something I railed against before. I was saying, why aren't there any other male Vulcans out there, or families of Vulcans that could have taken in this person? But if they wanted to tell this story and have these events unfold, Sarek is I believe, probably, like you said, only Vulcan that would have two, like one human and a half-breed.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said of wanting to anchor the show in some familiarity as well. Like if everything was new, if they were telling, a totally different story. Of side, like that was he's kind of the tether to what we had known before, and I also think it fleshes out his story more, because I feel like you want to know more, like why did he marry a human, like what was his motivation? And I know we had gotten explanations before about how that was just the best thing to do because he was the diplomat or the emissary to Earth, and that he needed to. It was logical to understand this planet.
Yeah, I never knew the order that things came, though. Was it that he became the ambassador first and then met Amanda, or did he meet Amanda, not fall in love, because that's an emotion, and then
I would think that he became the ambassador first, or there was talk of him becoming the ambassador. But yeah, I think that I think that there is something to Sarek, and I think that he functions on that emotional level that Vulcans do, even though they're
they still experience the emotions, but they just suppress them. And I also thought it was good that it was Sarek and Spock's family, because to me it was an extra bit of a gut punch.
Oh yeah,
when before he even said it and all, I was like, oh, and Spock never even ended up going on the Vulcan Expeditionary Group.
Yeah,
they name their
word
stuff.
Group is really.
Yeah,
like a group is so casual of a word for, especially a group of a group of logic people. Like, that sounds casual. Like, yeah, we just got to get together. We pop on a ship. We fly around. That's what it sounds like when you're a group.
Yeah. What was the name of the group that did the bombing? The Logic Extremists. Logic Extremists and Vulcan Expeditionary Group. They name things terribly.
They do.
I mean,
and it's I think something that's had been historically, like how the Vulcans name things. It's just it feels almost non-logical.
It really does. It's pretty bad. So you had something you wanted to touch on with the Lorca's hiring of people in this episode?
Oh yeah, I loved he's bro bonding with Ash in the beginning, and then he's totally let's hire you as my security chief. I got a post for you. I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah, no, he was just a POW for 7 months on a Klingon ship. This is a great idea. This will work out well, I'm sure.
This is fine.
This is just fine.
This will be fine. And tying into that, even though he did offer him this position and everything, and Lorca and him had a bonding moment, I threw up on the screen right now my favorite line of the series so far, when he was telling him to bring Burnham back or don't come back at all. And I like how he even tripped into it more, thinking that they were talking about the shuttlecraft. And he was like, I don't give about this shuttlecraft. I got plenty of these things.
And it really was like they even strung the audience along, where it was just like, oh, I mean, he seems like he really wants to protect her. And then it was like, bam, like, ooh.
Yikes.
That's why I really felt as soon as he said that, it sounded like a dad. Like, the girl's like, let me just go get my jacket. And he leans into the boyfriend. And he was like, you make sure you bring her back or don't come back at all.
Yeah. And he did already do the other stereotypical dad thing, kind of with the gunplay in the early episode, because they always make a joke about when someone's coming over to date your daughter, you have your guns out and you're cleaning them. It's like, it's a little bit too far.
Nice.
All right, so what haven't we covered yet? Oh yeah, I like going back to a little bit more of the character development with Michael being freed up from her own guilt over failing her father now, and also she had attitude with Sarek at the end. Yeah,
she was kind of reborn at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
She really realized that she is human, and that her training on Vulcan was just a part. It was a tool that she got and was given to her, and that now she needs to kind of fit it into who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think the show is constantly forcing you to evaluate who these people are, and specifically for her, they outright labeled her the mutineer.
Yeah.
And so she is she gonna live by that label, or is she gonna make her own way and reassert who she is, and she has to discover who that is. And I think this revelation about how she had identified herself so long as a failure, and becoming a mutineer was just another form of failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like failing her father or parental figure was
Again.
kind of her modus operandi. And I think now she realizes that it doesn't have to be. But of course now she's on this weird ship with this crazy captain, and she's all like, this guy is my new father figure, and I'm gonna do my best for him. But where's that gonna lead her? Because he's clearly
but
off his rocker.
She may be a little bit insulated from how off his rocker he is, just because Lorca does seem to know how to play different people.
He's doing a very good job of wooing her, which
yeah,
is I feel like
thing.
that was like he specifically. I mean, he arranged to get her on the ship. He, by diverting the shuttle, and so he clearly has a vision for her place on this ship, and he knew he couldn't be very heavy-handed with her because she had such a logic-trained background and could outmaneuver him. Like he couldn't, like he had to play the best game of chess to get her where he wants her, and so far he's doing an excellent job because she accepted the science specialist position without a blink, and said, I'm proud to have you as my captain, and it's like.
Yeah, but I mean...
But she doesn't know that.
Yeah, she was in a deep hole, though, and without much hope of getting out. And actually, I want to veer off the path for a second. And you mentioned about how he arranged for her to get on the ship. I was, and the early episodes, seeing how immoral different people seem to be in this one. I actually thought for a little bit before we met Admiral Cornwell that Lorca had that shuttle after it left destroyed and said that everyone was killed on there and that Burnham was on the ship and like everyone just assumed that she was dead in Starfleet.
Oh, yeah.
And that he was just going to squirrel her away and she was just going to be there. But so I was kind of glad that when they met and they were like, so you got this mutineer on your ship now. I was like, oh, well, okay, good. At least he didn't go all that way.
Yeah.
So what's next here? We have the Tilly-Michael partnership.
Oh, yeah. You had wanted to talk about Tilly and her character development, how she's...
Yeah, a lot of people online are griping that Tilly is just like Wesley Crusher.
She does get a lot of access. It was like every time she's there, I'm like, isn't she just a cadet? Isn't that even less than an ensign?
Yeah. It is less than an ensign. I don't know where it stands in the acting ensign end of things because he was that. So
he was also less than an ensign.
Yeah, he was an acting ensign, and then he became a cadet. So so that's like even worse. I didn't even think about that until right now. But I digress. What makes Tilly different from Wesley, in my eyes, is the way that she's there and participating in a higher caliber than you would expect, but she's not the one that's saving the day through just book knowledge and stuff. Yeah. She's there. She's part of the team.
She's not painted as a prodigy.
Right.
Which is what Wesley's role was. He was a child prodigy.
Yeah, and that's the thing that so many people hated about him, that he came in, let's just put all these isolinear chips back in here this way. I can do that, no problem.
Isolinear chips.
Yeah, and that's not to say I'm a big fan of Will Wheaton. I wasn't such a big fan of Wesley, so I just want to get that out there.
I loved Wesley, but I was the same age, so like I said, that was my formative years.
Yeah, I always remember that episode when they aged up Wesley, when Q aged up Wesley.
Oh yeah,
I was like, oh, you're putting so much stress on that poor kid. I mean, holy jeez. But anyway, and Tilly and Michael's relationship.
Yes, I love this partnership that they have. Tilly has asked Michael to be her mentor, and that's how she introduced her to Ash. And so there's definitely Tilly learning from Michael how to, she wants to get into command. She wants to captain her own ship, and she obviously has some social awkwardness to her. But she has an awareness, and some of this I know I'm getting from the After Trek that I watched today, that they were talking about, but I felt the same way, that they are partnered very well. Mm-hmm. And Tilly is helping Michael kind of assimilate into the crew in a more human way. Like Tilly is like the uber human, because she's bubbly and she's wears all her emotions on her sleeve, and she's kind of helping pull Michael out of her shell, like he's kicking her under the table because she was supposed to respond to Ash in a certain way, and that was it's cute and it's endearing, and you could see Michael at the end having starting to come out of her shell when she's found this newfound confidence after discovering Sarek's secret, and I think that Tilly is going to help her do that until she is revealed to be some sort of weird Uber spy.
Yeah, all right.
Love that idea, though. I love the idea that she is posing on the ship as a Section 31 spy and is gonna be like this even more ruthless person.
All right, if you guys don't want to hear theories, just close your ears for just a minute. But yeah, there was speculation as soon as the show was on, because people had black badges and things, that this was a Section 31 ship, that everyone on it was that. It doesn't seem to be that way, because I don't think Saru would go for that, my boy.
I don't know. I think Saru wants to be a captain.
Well, he does want to be a captain, but I don't know.
It depends on how it was sold, and if it is we don't see any other ship in the fleet, so we have no idea what they think of Discovery.
Yeah.
Or if they think of it at all, because they don't know, because it's super secret and it's under Section 31. We don't know that.
All right, well, but here's the deal. If this was a Section 31 ship, there is no way they get rid of that tardigrade the other week. There is no chance that they let that thing go. They would have no moral problems with keeping that thing. It was dehydrated. You throw it in a closet. It's fine.
Put it in the back.
Yeah, don't even
Store
need to
with
feed
your
it.
Mushrooms.
Don't even need to feed it. And we all know there's going to be talk later about it, but that Tribble is on that ship. So just keep reproducing, and they can feed some kind of other creature that Lorca has locked up in the basement. It's just a food thing. It can't eat replicated food. It needs live food that was always alive and not molecularly put back together. Anyway, we flew off on a tangent, didn't we? No, that's good.
I love that idea. Not that I really want to see it happen. I didn't
even finish the thing. Yeah, so if the whole ship is in Section 31, she's definitely a spy there to find out what's going on, and she may even just be Lorca's spy put in there for Michael to keep tabs on her. But in the best case scenario, Lorca sees that he has a really, really smart, I don't even remember what her main job is on the thing, but she's obviously very capable.
She's some sort of science,
but lacking discipline and just
polish
and experience. And I'm gonna go and team her up with this used to be first officer, and that'll help bring them both about. Good captainry.
Yes.
Even beyond all the weirdness. Let's see. We're scrolling down our thing. Let's see what we
Groovy Stamets.
Yeah, Groovy Stamets was
Far
groovy.
Out.
I thought I had that further down, but Groovy Stamets is going to get very, very old very, very quickly. If
next episode looks really crazy.
Well, next episode looks crazy, but everything all his reactions within the episode seem like he's with it again. Not that he's this episode. He seemed out of it. He looked like he was.
Well, then you didn't watch After Trek, did you?
No.
So you didn't see the sneak peek for next week.
I saw the sneak peek for next week. He's all right. We'll
talk
about.
He was completely goofball, and Culber was making excuses for him. He said, "Pardon my partner."
Well, okay. I didn't see that preview for next week. I saw the 40-second thing that was on the end of the episode where he was running around saying the ship's going to blow up in a half hour.
Yeah, no, that was that's what they showed in After Trek. It was why
didn't you make me watch After Trek before we had this discussion? All right, I've got it slated for later on to talk about next week's episode.
Oh, righty then.
So groovy. So I hope that he's not this way all the time. I still hope that this is the tie-in for them to be able to get rid of the spore drive or make it not functional because it makes you stoned or magic mushroomed or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like next episode's going to be that. It's going to come to a head.
That next episode that quick?
I think so. Like I said, if you had seen this, it was an extreme, because if he's like that for more than one episode, it's gonna get old real fast.
Right. I need to know, how are they using the spore drive right now?
They're still using it with Stamets. Again, in the sneak peek, yeah, because he rolls up his sleeve and shows them this like little piece of tech that Culber has implanted in his arm, and he said, I wanted to make his interface with the spore drive more comfortable. So he is still powering the spore drive.
All right, very good. So then I would have to assume that it's going to make him more groovy every time he uses it.
I'm thinking so.
All right, that's cool then. That's cool, and it's good because it's going to be the way that they eradicate that spore drive, because we can't have that be a thing on the show.
No, clearly it's not going to be a thing.
No. But now that's gonna re-raise things of like, why'd you get rid of that tardigrade? We had plenty of closets. Anyway, I wanted to extol the goodness that was the Katra vision. I really liked that effect. I can't wait for the GIF of her like floating out and getting sucked into his brain. Yeah, that's going to be a GIF somewhere. I'm surprised I haven't seen it already. But I liked it also because they're willing to spend the extra money to get you immersed in what this was going to be. They could have just done a thing where she gets weirded out and then all of a sudden smash cut, she's there in that scene with them. But they went and they did that as a way of sucking you in, and also a way of kind of breaking the ice of you having thought that maybe she somehow knew that Ash was a bad guy. Because that's what I was thinking. We'll talk more about any of that kind of stuff during the Black Alert segment that happens after Warp. You see how we're getting faster and progressively faster and faster here? I wanted to take a moment because someone actually asked us a question in chat a little bit ago, asking if we think in one of these episodes will we see a younger Spock, like in either a dream or a memory flashback, or like I'm asking even if we would see him just on the show. What do you think?
I think that is a good question, but probably not. It looks like the book that was put out is actually a because I'm still early into it, but that's why in the very beginning of it tells you it is like a year before the Battle of the Binary Stars and a year or something before Enterprise's visit to
Talos Fort.
Talos, because both the Enterprise and Discovery are in the book.
Ooh.
And she has to avail herself of her half brother's knowledge.
Discovery or Shenzhou?
I mean Shenzhou. Sorry,
okay.
Both Shenzhou and Enterprise are in the book, so I think she and Spock have to work together. And she didn't sound like she wanted to. It sounds like there was some tension. So yeah, we'll talk about that more. But I don't know if they did that because they weren't going to do that in the show, and I don't really want them to.
Yeah. Well,
I don't mind having like flashbacks of her and a young Spock, like to flesh out her character because we know Spock's character. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I want to meet a Spock in the current time.
Yeah, there's well, I mean, if they do it as well, as Sarek.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
as that stuff.
So far,
there's not really a need. If there's a need for it, and that's actually something I just went and made a note for us to talk about near the end when we're wrapping up. Sorry, we're jumping all over the place. So, when I just needed to call out one particular thing. When Sarek is getting attacked, we have a cool picture for this. Wait, I've got a picture for this.
Wait.
I got a picture for this. There we go. He's attacked by this guy who was in no way ever, like, everyone watching this show was like, oh, this guy's totally on the up and up. Everything's great, even before he started glowing like that. But
they do broadcast their expendable characters pretty loudly.
Yeah.
It was like the guy who was on the shuttle with Lorca last episode. It was like, clearly you're not going to survive this.
Well, because they know that, and now see, I'm going to be prejudiced here in some way, that Star Trek viewers, we love to nitpick and we love to look deep and like look past what they're trying to give us and like, no, all right, 4 scenes from now I know what's going to happen. I know I do it, and I'm sorry. I try to be in the moment and enjoy things, but that's what we do. So they're just not even bothering to try and hide it.
No, yeah, all the red shirts have been like that. The guy they took with them to the Glen, like it really was just they don't have red shirts on, but you know they are red shirts.
I wonder if in the area where the actors hang out, like in their wardrobe, they have a red shirt hanging up to let them know that they're dying.
They just have one room. It's labeled red shirts room, and every week then a new actor's in it.
Oh, poor guys. But when this bad guy who blowed himself up, he did the thing that all bad guys do and is monologuing.
He's an extremist. I mean, that was the thing. I know you said stop monologuing. He did extreme
monologuing?
No, he's an extreme terrorist, and he's ideologically, superior, quote unquote.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about extreme monologuing.
Extreme monologuing.
Okay. Yeah, well, no, I mean, but the main problem I had with his monologuing was Sarek was sitting there and just listening to everything. I understand Sarek wanting to get as much information out of him as he can, but as he's doing that, he could be pushing those buttons.
Because that chemical's only going to work so fast.
Yeah, Sarek's looking at him. He's like, oh, okay, you're about to blow up. I guess I should do something here.
Yeah.
He could have been just pushing.
He could have beamed that guy out of that shuttle.
Yeah, I mean, there's any number of things that he can do. And also, I wonder, did they have to pay Marvel to be able to get the Centipede Iron Man 3 effect that's there? Because that's clearly what this is.
Clearly what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I like the effect. The effect's cool. Like, yeah, I'm going to blow myself up to... you're going to strap a bomb on yourself? No, I'm going to inject myself with this stuff that just makes me go kablooey.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. All right, so where are we at? Stop monologuing bad guys. I hate the monologuing bad guys. All right. So I wanted to touch on one thing. In the new series here, Klingons, they seem physically weaker to me. Because it seems like the humans hold their own much easier in a fight with them. But they must have... and I don't even know, because like right now the Klingons and Federation are at war, and the Klingons are holding their own against the Federation just without even having the cloaking technology yet. They just got that like a couple weeks ago. Now that they've got that cloaking technology, they're going to be able to run roughshod over the Federation. Like if it was evenly matched beforehand, and now the Klingon side is getting something big and great, I'm a little bit worried that they're going to need to have like 5 or 6 spore drive ships for a while to even things out and to knock down the Klingon forces.
That sounds reasonable. I don't disagree.
Yeah. I just hope it's not something like that, because I mean,
I guess I
feel
like they did a better job in this presenting a motive for a war more so than we had before, other than just warlike race wants to stomp over everyone.
Well,
but again, like they didn't do a very good job of explaining how they weren't just completely running rampant. There must be some sort of limit to that technology that we really didn't hear of before.
The cloaking?
Yes.
Well, I mean, they don't have it yet.
No, I'm saying after they have it. Like there still must be some sort of, like, we know they can't, they at least weren't able to fire while cloaked before.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it only the birds of prey that can cloak? Like the big battle cruisers can't cloak, right? Oh, there's someone watching this right now that's yelling at us. Of course they can cloak. They just need to run the plasma through the Jeffries tube conduit. That's really me talking. So I know I say such things all the time.
What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that's me. I'm making fun of myself. I'm allowed. Yeah. So
the Klingons are.
They don't seem a little bit like they seem a lot leaner and.
They're definitely
less imposing.
Yeah, they're not. Well, they're not
physically
as interesting either. Like this show is so much more interesting on the Discovery with those characters, and the Klingons are just. it's like they're trying to make them more interesting than they were before. Instead of just that big like mammoth bad guy force, they're trying to give them more plot and more character development. And I feel like it's a waste, or it's definitely not as interesting as the plot and character development going on board Discovery, like the mystery of Discovery. And it's there's something there that I'm not completely on board with. Although I do like what they're presenting to us with this motive for the war, this need to keep their identity pure, which is the same motive that the logic extremists have.
Yeah,
they want to keep their identity pure. They do not want to. They don't want to change, basically, and it's the allegory. It is the reflection of today that I think they're going for, and that's why they've presented us with these two races: one who is an ally, one who is not. That both are having that same dilemma, and so, but I want to see how the Klingons develop a little bit more. But it's just they've been kind of off-putting to me from the beginning.
Well,
first, their look was so different. I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, good. You mentioned that the developments on the Discovery are so much better than what we're seeing out of the Klingons. Part of that problem, I think, is that they went through to develop T'Kuvma in the first two episodes, and he's out, and then we get.
Well, he was supposed to be their martyr.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand his need there, but we haven't gotten a lot of personal stuff from any of the Klingons. Aside from that, we had the one moment when they were setting up the ship for L'Rell and Vok to be together, and that was kind of...
we got a lot of personal Vok. Like, we got his backstory.
Yeah, we got his backstory that no one ever liked him and he didn't have a house. And holy crap, I'm the leader now. Why are you following me? You'd have never asked one of your followers, excuse me, why are you following me?
Yeah.
And so that
you came to bend the knee? Cool. Why don't you hang out here? I didn't understand why he didn't ask. It's Cole. Why he didn't ask him immediately, like, oh, you just showed up with a new ship. Could you perhaps bring us some provisions? We're eating people.
Yeah,
that just, he's just like, okay, cool. We're going to go hop onto this other ship to steal their dilithium thing. You just wait here. Like, it reeked of, this guy's going to steal your peeps.
Yeah, I didn't understand at all how they were just out there floating around for 6 months, but everyone knew where they were the whole time.
Yeah.
And the fact that ship had the cloak on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It took 6 months for him to come back and be like, we should go back and get that cloaking technology. Wait a minute. I totally could see him sitting around with eating a big leg of something and being like, wait a minute.
Wait.
That T'Kuvma ships had that cloaking device.
Yeah.
We could do some real damage with that. It's definitely slow on the Klingon side. Of course, there could be something awesome going on the Klingon side as well. And
we will talk about that in a little bit. But no matter what, I mean, this show is titled Discovery, so they're gonna delve into all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's try and plow through the last of this stuff because we're starting to get bogged down a little bit, and we don't want to get boring. Is it too late?
Never.
No. They have some cool ass replicators on this ship that, of course, people had to complain about. Because in the original series, they couldn't really have real replicators, and they just had food cubes, multicolored food cubes of stuff, and just water. And it's like, no, cool ass replicators are cool ass. And if my refrigerator could tell me the health content of the different foods I'm pulling out of it, I might actually tend to eat better. Especially if they get a Lewis Black voice in there. Like, you don't need that ice cream. But, and in that same scene, I love the multiple uses of the term scuttlebutt. Do you know the founding of scuttlebutt?
I do indeed.
It was just background.
Not just because I read it in the show notes.
Oh well, we don't have show notes. We don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. But just because they use scuttlebutt, not a lot of people use scuttlebutt anymore, and it's actually a naval term because it came from the water barrels on old sailing ships, and they were known as butts, and you had to crack a hole into the top of it and scuttle it in order to be able to get water out, and people would hang out by the water barrel chit-chatting and talking, and it's the equivalent of the water cooler in the office today. So I just like the term scuttlebutt, and plus because I work as a subcontractor to the Navy, so I like little Navy tidbits.
A Navy tidbit.
And hey, look at that. We already complained about the name Logic Extremists. So we can just go right past that one.
Logic Extremists.
Oh, and one thing I definitely wanted to touch on. I thought it was interesting because before this episode, I assumed that Sarek had rescued Michael from the Klingon attack that killed her parents. But we find out in this one that it was really these terribly named Logic Extremists that generated that scene that we saw of Sarek coming to a young Michael and healing her up. So I just thought that was interesting, and that she had actually been dead for a few minutes. And so, yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting that any sort of logical being would think that blowing up a human child wasn't going to have repercussions from
blowing
her
up
race.
Any child, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, has it really? Was there a big backlash against the Vulcans to...
Well, she didn't die.
Well, yeah,
So
but...
I'm sure it was easier to, brush that up than if she had.
True. All right, let's look through here because I thought I had a couple more images that we just kind of shot past that I didn't want to just shoot past. Ooh, yes, the cool disco shirts.
Take my money.
Yeah, you should get yourself one. They have them in your size. Unfortunately, not my size. Maybe if I discoed more, I would shrink and be able to.
Who is they? Disco. Star Trek.
Like the official Star Trek place. Sector 001. I don't know.
Sector 001.
Don't come back. All right, and the last thing. All right, so we've exited warp speed, and we have entered what have I termed this section? Ooh, the spatial anomaly has been detected, where we're just going to talk about general little things that happen in Star Trek world this week, and a couple of things. I found this nifty piece of art. There's a link in the show notes on the YouTubes.
I guess we can't call it the doobly-doo, huh?
No, well, I don't think the Green Brothers are the type that would sue if we call it that.
Truth.
It's not like we're making money off of doobly-doo. Well, although now maybe we can market something. Ooh. No. But yeah, it's got my favorite dude in there, Sarek, and he looks all good. And this art is so good, I can even get by that weird eyeball thing that's going on because it's got the Lorca eyeball thing. And that's one of my biggest phobias in life is anything dealing with my eyes. See the glasses? No contacts. Told me don't play that.
Negative.
Nope. Yeah, so that was all the art stuff. So, and in other news, the whole show got some good news because they got picked up for season 2 already. So
woohoo!
That is definite good news.
I feel like I'd heard you say that this show was going to have distinct storylines each season. Was that truth, or was that just
that was
conjecture?
Very early speculation, but I think it was a mix-up of speculation and realness because since it's in a serialized fashion and like telling a story all the way through and not episodic, I think they got that like weirded out with shows like American Horror Story that tell a whole season tells one story and then the next season will go on and tell a different story. So this is like season 2 will be Star Trek Discovery and it'll be whoever's left at the end of this season.
Who's ever left?
All right, that's about all we have for the spatial anomaly section. That's going to be small, but just anything that didn't fit anywhere else. So now we enter Black Alert, which is where we're going to talk about weird spoilery type stuff and also just theories that we have. And there are some people that don't like learning about theories that cull information from out there on the internet and everything. So if you're one of those types, now's your chance to sign off. We say thank you for watching, and please visit corpulentgeek.com or follow us on Twitter. Please subscribe. I'm supposed to say that all the time. Like the page too. I don't know how to do any of this yet.
Sorry, I realized I was black alerting all over the place. I was, saying.
Oh, black alerting things
yeah,
before. Yeah. We'll both get better.
I'll get better at that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. So thank you, and bye-bye if you're one of those types. And now we get to talk about all the good stuff. No. So Christina has mentioned a little bit the mirror universe. Just in case anyone doesn't know about it, did you want to bring them up to speed on that?
So, the history of the mirror universe in Star Trek started in the original series on an episode that I just started watching the other day, whose name is...
Mirror?
Was it Mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That part's not important. You can just look up Mirror Universe.
Yes.
On the Googles.
And a electromagnetic storm on this planet, and the transporter did not jive well, and Kirk, Uhura, Scotty, and Bones got transported to a mirror universe, and their mirror counterparts got transported to our universe. And everyone in the mirror universe, instead of Starfleet being this explorer, expeditionary type group, it was an empire, and everyone was mean, and Spock had
Everyone
goatee.
was mean.
Everyone was mean. People killed each other to go up in rank, and it was generally bad. Okay. And so they figured out how to get back, and so you would think, done and done, where that was some crazy stuff. Let's not ever go back there. But the mirror universe continued to show up in further episodes. In what was the next one? Was it in DS all the way in DS9?
Yeah.
We're well versed in the mirror image. I actually read a couple of books too that fleshed out the mirror universe. That one was by Diane Duane that I really did enjoy. And it's a neat concept, having this other universe where everyone is their opposite. And so there have been many hints and that Discovery is dealing with this, and even Jonathan Frakes, who is involved in the show, I think he's directing. Is that what you said, honey?
Yeah, he's directing a couple episodes this season. I don't know if he's directing
any big reveals, but he's directing some of these episodes. He let the cat out of the bag completely, because apparently he didn't realize that people try to keep things hush hush now.
Well, he probably did, and just
it just happens. It happens. Which is cool, though, because I mean the show is doing a phenomenal job of presenting us with these foreshadowing of this mirror. Like, they have used so much imagery. Michael with the holographic mirror when she was checking her uniform, and Stamets with his mirror image not turning around when he did.
That one was the big one.
Well, that was the big one that kind of was supposed to be the debut, like, hello, this is a thing. Burnham had that dream where she was operating the spore drive and inside the spore drive at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of mirror imagery. So they're definitely letting you in that this is going to be dealt with at some point. Something is happening.
Yeah, that Burnham mirror one, that one's just me thinking that's a possibility in the mirror universe. But I like that thought.
So that is the history of where the mirror universe came from. Definitely check out the episode in the original series that dealt with it, because it was entertaining for many reasons. The actors got to play the polar opposite of their characters, and that's always, I think, entertaining.
It is some good stuff, and I'm trying to get here. Come on, that's Mirror Universe Next Generation crew. Look at that.
Look at the guns on Picard.
Oh my God, he would just run everything. Data would need some Borg implants to be able to sustain against him. And I don't know what Riker would think. Riker's like, yeah, just like in the regular universe, I'm never going to be captain of this Enterprise because this guy's a
Who
badass.
do you think gave me the scar?
Yeah, man. Look at that. Jesus. Look at those arms.
That is impressive.
Yeah, man. Whew. Okay, we got to take that down. Otherwise, we'll be all distracted for the whole thing. All right, so was there any more? There's one more black alert. All right. I'm interested to know how Michael's story is going to end in this show. What I can't see her making it like living at the end when this show ends, because I can't. I'm willing to let them go with not breaking canon, but adding something as big to canon as another sibling for Spock, because we all know Star Trek V had his brother that no one had ever mentioned about before. But he was like the loser, the black sheep, the super black sheep that never did anything big in life and went off with weird ideas about God and heaven and everything.
He was full Vulcan, wasn't he?
I think he was full Vulcan. Yeah. He definitely wasn't Amanda's.
No, and I don't think he was.
Half-brother.
He was Spock's half-brother. Yeah. But I think he was full Vulcan, yeah. Which is great. Because
excuse me. Wow, we both cough at the same time.
He definitely wasn't going to the science academy.
yeah, like he was going on to not do anything.
I'm amazed Sarah could get any position in the Vulcan.
Well, I mean, most Vulcans
government
understood. It's just the intransigent ones that didn't want to bother try and let humans in. But Burnham is like doing some shit. The first mutineer in the Federation.
I find that so hard to believe.
Yeah. What, that she was the first mutineer? Or, yeah, well.
Not only do I find that hard to believe, but I don't get how they mounted the start of this war on her shoulders. I just don't understand.
It was the Federation PR.
It really was.
Yeah. And
it really was.
Yeah, because this crazy woman went and took over the ship and killed
and now
some
we're
Klingons.
at war with the Klingons, but they were clearly going to do that anyway.
Yeah, come on, you don't think we're lied to all the time about how things go?
Yes, but
yellow cake uranium.
This kind of leads into how, because I you see all over the internets how a lot of Star Trek purists are angry at this show or don't like it.
Yeah, because it's so different.
And someone finally put into words what the problem might be, and it's that Star Trek has always shown us a good future, almost the best possible future, a more utopian future. And even though they tried to deal in allegories to talk to us about our current times, and the Star Treks of our current time, like the rebooted movies and this show, are more dark. They're more sinister. They involve things like Section 31 and a Starfleet that is more backroom handed. Although I mean, Next Generation had some evil admirals.
Yeah, see,
it wasn't like they were
that's
all.
That's the thing. This show is. The previous shows always centered on the good guys, the morally positive good guys, and they always won the day. This show is following around Captain Jellicoe and Admiral Satie and those ones of more questionable things that get more shit done.
Which is not, I mean, actually, if we pull up to a higher level, is the trend. And has been, like, I've read books about in entertainment in general, and I've read books about how television changed after 9/11. I know, like, this is a weird turn to take, but it really did. Like, reality television spiked, and our anti-heroes spiked. Like the shows that are following anti-heroes. So we're talking about shows like Breaking Bad, House of Cards, even Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
that was rebooted. That was one of the, and that was early. That was early on in the 2000s, because now we're following bad guys, and we're almost forced to empathize with them because of how they're shown to us, and then we realize, God, but they're so bad. Like, why?
Yeah.
What? And so that's something to keep in mind when we pine for the days of old and the shows that we, like I said, were in our formative years, because things have changed, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because these shows are entertaining, and they make me think about how we view people and how we view the people in our lives and the people in our government, and how we think about them.
Word. Sorry,
I didn't mean to get so deep.
Yeah, you did.
Dropping it deep.
We just gotta stay out of politics.
And I'm not getting into politics. It's a very, very high level.
Nah, yeah.
But that's, I think, what I really do love about this show is that it's so questioning who really are the good guys, and are there any good guys?
Well, there's some good guys. Saru.
But sometimes the good guys have to make bad decisions, and that's what happened. The whole show started off with our good guy making a bad decision, and now she's being labeled the mutineer, and
right.
Now how is she dealing with that? And that's the whole thing.
All right, the last little section for Black Alert. I understand. Believe me, we're starting this vodcast in the middle of the season and everything, and so we can't go back and rehash everything that's happened already or all the everything's. But there's no way we can get through this without talking about how many fans believe that Ash Tyler is really the Klingon, the albino Vok.
He's got to be. He's got to be. We haven't seen him in like 3 episodes. That's totally true. I'm so on board.
You mean, yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm on board.
Well, because
it is reality for me.
Yeah, there's so much going on that points that way, and there's even some people that are just being so flippant about it. It's like, oh well, they're being so obvious that's the case. It's the only way to go, and it's like, nah, come on, they're not being that super obvious. Like when they were escaping from the ship, Laurel didn't wink her one good eye that she has left at Ash Tyler as he was leaving. But so there's a lot of things that went into this theory. Episode 4 had Laurel and Vok on the Klingon sarcophagus ship, and then eventually at the end of that episode they were on the Shinzu, left out there floating in space, and that was at the end of episode 4, which, I mean, they can play with time a little bit, so maybe that was like 3 weeks before what episode 5 ended up being, where she is somehow the captain of a prison ship, commander of a prison ship, and the prison ship that just happens to get Captain Lorca from when he's captured. And so, a lot of spy intel information went into them being able to know where Lorca was. And
that's a big clue, too, because Ash told Lorca that he had been there for 7 months.
Right.
And that he had stayed alive because he was trading his body with the captain. And technically, she's only been there 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty
that's a definite
clear mismatch in time there.
Yeah, so there's all that. Now, hankering back to the Trouble with Tribbles episode, I think that came up already. There was a guy, a human in that episode, with the last name of Darwin. I forget what his first name was. But he was really a Klingon that was altered to appear human to scuttle the plans that the Federation had for a border world. And he was found out by a Tribble, because apparently Tribbles hates themselves some Klingons.
I hate to be some Klingons.
Yeah, they do this weird shrill scream whenever Klingons come around. And of course, right near the end of that episode, when things looked the bleakest for our heroes, Darwin walked by a couple Tribbles that were still alive on the station somehow, and they all freaked out. And Captain Kirk is like, I wonder what's going on there. Hey, Bones, you got a tricorder on you? Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, that's right. He's a Klingon. Oh, we're free. It's all good.
Done and done.
Done and done. And so, as we all know, as we mentioned before, there's a Tribble in the captain's ready room. And so I don't really know. The main problem I have with this theory, though, right now is that how has Ash been able to avoid getting medically cleared? If in
maybe he's not just changed cosmetically.
Maybe he's not changed cosmetically. You mean like maybe at the genetic level, like eugenics?
Dun dun dun.
The gun that they went and hung up on the wall. Hey, we got eugenics are bad. No one should do that thing. Oh,
what do you mean you're injecting yourself with DNA from another species?
Yeah, to make yourself more like them. What? But yeah, no. When all that stuff came up, I love that kind of stuff.
I do too. Yeah, I don't think that I mean, hiring the guy after he was a POW for 7 months is one thing, but not being medically cleared to serve, I'm pretty sure Dr. Culber would have a bit of an issue with that.
Well, what's the doctor's name?
Culber.
Mm-hmm. He's not even the chief medical officer.
He isn't?
No. They mentioned that in the thing that, yeah, I got to help the CMO with a LASIK surgery or something.
Well, why is he... Oh, because I guess she asked him to help him out a LASIK surgery or something.
Well, yeah. Nice.
That right there, folks, is how our marriage pretty much goes.
Yeah, 10 years, just last week. Yeah. So he's just one of the other doctors.
Oh wow.
That is on there. And were there ever any other doctors on Next Generation on Enterprise? It was Crusher and a bunch of nurses, right? For like 1,000 people. I don't ever remember another doctor.
I don't remember her mentioning another doctor.
So I like the idea of there being multiple doctors on there. I don't know. We're flying all over the place here with this one.
Hold on tight.
So we were talking about the medical scans and the Tribble. All right. So what I really hope happens, I hope it's none of our really good heroes, but I hope that there's a meeting between Klingons with Klingons on the Discovery. And the Klingons, and this meeting happens in a captain's ready room, and the Tribble freaks the hell out. And there's like some red shirt in the back corner that sees it, or unfortunately one of our main cast members is there and sees it and remembers that. And then later on at some point, that cast member, that person, and Ash and a Tribble are together, and the Tribble freaks out. And that cast member can't, like, just play it off and be like, I got to get out of here and tell someone that he's a Klingon. He's like, holy shit, you're a Klingon. And Ash snaps his neck. I think that would be really cool.
I think that would be cool. I just don't know if using the Tribble again, like using that mechanic again would be...
Not? It ties things together so beautifully, just like Sarek. No, I don't know. But
technically this is before that episode.
Well, exactly. Oh, see, that's the part of the theory. That's why that crewman has to die there, so he can't communicate that out to anyone. So it's like, hey, Tribbles are Klingon detectors. Ways to be able to tell them with spies. So he's the one that like puts it together. But he or she meets a terrible fate.
No, that would be definitely one of those cool, juicy...
Yeah. Oh, and you mentioned how Ash said that he was able to survive for 7 months because he had a special relationship with the captain of the ship there. And we all know that Klingon mating rituals are very physical, and so he would have gotten beat up almost as bad as if he had been tortured.
True that.
Excuse me. So... No, I talked about this next part a little bit with Mike, my brother, when we talked about Star Trek Discovery Saturday. But I really like the thought that if Tyler is a Klingon, that he uses that as like psychological warfare against Lorca, because then he can be like, hey, look at me. I was captured by the Klingons and things were looking really bleak, but now I'm rescued and I'm serving on this cool ship and I'm like alive. And look, this Michael Burnham, she's my new girlfriend. Life is going pretty good. It's a real shame that you killed your entire crew because you thought they were all going to get murdered. Wah, wah. So either he does that way and like puts the screws to him, or Ash Tyler is somehow really just a human, and Lorca gets to
I don't know where that would go if he really was just a human.
Well, if he really was just a human, then Lorca is just like, oh man, look, this guy here, he's been rescued, he's all alive and things are okay. Maybe I screwed up doing my thing, and he gets there on his own.
I don't think so. Lorca's not the type to question himself.
Now here is the most wackadoo theory that I have. We are not the only ones that when we saw L'Rell on that prison ship didn't recognize that she was L'Rell at the first point. A lot of people have said that she looked different. So, here's the really wackadoo theory.
I like this.
This is the old double switcheroo. So the albino doesn't have all kind of like spy training and all. L'Rell does. She comes from a family of spies, supposedly. And she's like super smart and gets things done. So what I think happened is L'Rell had the genetic changes and was changed into Ash Tyler, and Vok was changed into L'Rell. Yeah. I don't really know exactly what that buys us or how it really changes anything, but I like it. Because it kind of explains why everyone thought that L'Rell looked a little bit different in the rest of that episode. Or what if Mud is? No, I mean, that's just outlandish. I can't even.
Mud. Very Mud.
All right. So was there anything else on the Ash Tyler? Is that nope? I think we hit all the different things that made us think Ash Tyler is a bad guy. Yep. All right. I think that might wrap it up for this week. Oh, no. We didn't talk about next week's episode. Oy vey. All right. Well, excuse me. You saw After Track, so you have a little bit more knowledge with regards to next week's episode. So why don't you lead us?
Yeah. On the After Track, they always show you like a little clip instead of like a trailer that gives you a hint of what's happening. Mm-hmm. And the clip was just Burnham's coming around a corner. She knocks into, I think with Ash, and she knocks into Stamets and Culber and like knocks something all over the ground. And so she's apologizing, and Stamets gets up and he's just like, "Hey man, it's all good. We're just all walking in the corridor together, and it's just, why can't we?" I mean, he comes in and he hugs Michael Burnham. Like it's over the top. Wow. It's crazy. And Culber's like, "No, pay attention to my partner. He's just changed since he's..." and they even say, like, he's changed a bit since he's been doing the spore drive thing. All right,
good.
And he's like, "Speaking of change," and he, like, rolls up his sleeve, and he shows this, like, implant thing that Culber's giving him. My partner's giving me this implant to make my interface with the spore drive even more comfortable. It's all great. I mean, He's crazy.
Wow.
It's weird.
Good. All right. Good. It seems like they're setting up for the spore drive.
Yeah, I feel like this. That's why I feel like next episode is definitely coming to a head with these changes that Stamets is having. I don't know if that 40-second trailery thing we saw, was that for this next episode, or was that one of those like upcoming on Discovery, like more than one episode out?
I thought it was the next episode, because they've always done next episode after.
Okay.
Yes, it was definitely next episode. I went and I looked on YouTube and I saw.
Okay. Then this encounter in the corridor is probably just one of those like things that she's gonna have to check off, because she's obviously gonna figure out that they're in some sort of time loop, and then she's gonna go from like thing to thing, and she's gonna remember, like, I'm gonna come around this corner and I'm gonna knock into Stamets and it's gonna knock stuff down, and like maybe she'll try to avoid it or something like that.
Well, but I mean, they have in the 40-second thing, Stamets knows that they're in a time loop. He said we're in a time loop. We have 30 minutes, and the quicker you listen to me, the better chance we have to survive in it. Doesn't he?
Maybe. But she was like, she was reciting, like at one point she was reciting like, this happens and then this happens. So I feel like she's got a list in her head.
Well, yeah, because she's the smart one that's going to figure it out.
Yeah. Or he'll figure it out, and then he'll be like, "Here, this is everything you know to help fix it. You go save us. I'm the science. I do all the science, and then I tell you how to fix it. You do the thing."
All that I can hope is that it has a better resolution than the cause and effect episode. Because so help me, if you don't remember do you remember how Data figured out what it was? They were able to figure out a way to send Data messages back through the loops.
Yeah.
And he could only send back...
It was the number of pips on Riker's thing, right?
He sent back the number 3.
Yeah.
And wow, you blew out the mics.
Well, because I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3, that could mean anything.
It could mean anything. When at the very last moment, Data's like, "Oh look, there's 3 there." I've been making 3s show up all over the effing ship, all over the place. Diagnostics, this, that, and the other thing, dealing out 3s of a kind to everyone. It was just I was sad, but it did bring us Space Frasier. So. The episode wasn't
Space Frasier.
The episode wasn't the worst thing ever. So now one question that I have, I only saw the 40-second thing, so I'm not 100% sure. But there is a chance that the time loop, well, see, now it's not with the other things that you've said. I had the thought that maybe the time loop is something just in Stamets's head, because they made that commercial seem like he was the only one that knew it was a time loop, and so maybe
he's
he
the only
was
one
just
who knows
delusional.
it's a time loop because he's got this spore drive connection.
Well, but what I meant was like that it's not really a time loop at all.
It's all literally
he's just
in his
freaked
head.
out, and so like
maybe.
I want to know how does Mud fit into the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
and also who's the dude that was coming out of the thing that looked like a plant. It looked like Seymour was there. No, Phoebe Seymour. What was the name of the plant?
Audrey 2.
Audrey 2. It looked like Ant-Man had just come out of the thing. It looked like it had a get-up like Marvel's Ant-Man. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen... I don't remember the 40-second thing as well as I remember that clip from today.
Flip the table.
But I love when they play with time. I don't know why, but I do. I love time loops. I love timed things. There's something about it that I can't help it.
Time
I love Back to the Future. I just love it. Time.
But I just don't think they should have.
Side.
I don't think they should have messed with it this early in the show, though. Unless it has a whole purpose.
How many episodes is this going to be?
Well, I'm hopefully just one. Good God!
No,
but,
how many episodes is Discovery?
Oh, this is going to be the 7th episode.
No, how many total episodes is this?
Jesus, you weren't making any sense. I'm pretty sure it's 15.
Okay, well we're coming up on that midway point, so like.
Yeah, meaning like season 1 shouldn't have had a time loop episode.
But they're dealing with transporting themselves instantaneously across the universe. Like I feel like the time-space continuum can push back.
Okay. Is it time trying to reset itself? Are they going to have big bat-like things like they had in Doctor Who trying to reset everything, take away the spore drive?
Or maybe they'll have what is it in Flash that come and
oh
race
yeah,
after you.
the God, I can't even the evil
Speed
looking
Force.
speed
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we're
Speed
riding off the
remnants
rails
are-
here, people. All right.
All the geek stuff.
Yeah, I like it so much. I just want to throw this up there for us to end with. It's so good. Look at it. Look at it. Look, I even
love
need to
how,
make it bigger.
Oh, sweet. I love how can I is it pointing? I'm pointing here. Pointing. There we go. I love how sashes are the evil universe. Like we know we're evil because we have goatees and sashes.
I wonder is there uh-oh, they went away. I wonder if there's another one where there's like maybe instead of sashes and goatees, it's got to be the standard like twirly mustache and scarves or ascots. But then again, that would be evil too with the twirly mustaches. Anyway, all right. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this. Thanks for tuning in. Again, remember, visit corpulentgeek.com. Follow me on Twitter. Someday I'll get this pointing thing right. Sci-Fi Christina. And subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw here, if you're a Discovery fan. Coming up in the future, I'm going to have a friend of mine come over, and he's going to give you all the lowdown on Punisher for the upcoming Netflix series, which has a release date of November 17.
What?
That'll fit in nicely for the winter break that Star Trek Discovery's having. All the things. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye.